Hi, welcome to my kitchen, where we try our best, and that's all anyone can ask for. Today I'm making an angel food cake, which I love. I love angel food cakes. They are so delicious. They're fluffy and I love them. They're the best with strawberries and cream, and I love them. We don't have any strawberries right now, unfortunately, because it's winter. I'm sure there's strawberries somewhere, but I'm sure they don't taste good. The two main ingredients of angel food cake are egg whites and sugar. There's a little bit of flour, but I'm going to be using gluten-free flour today because I can't have gluten and it makes me cry every day. That's all right. You can do this exact same recipe with regular flour and it will turn out great. So homemade angel food cakes are really awesome because they're not as sweet and as sticky as the ones at the store. Even though I love the sweetness of the ones at the store, these ones you can eat like so much more of and not feel sick. Not that that's your goal necessarily, is to eat all the dessert you can without getting sick, but it is much easier. So today I'm using liquid egg whites. Normally I will separate my eggs, but I don't want to do that because I feel like I waste a lot of yolks. I mean, I hope they don't waste all the yolks they use in making this. It's so much longer to separate eggs. Like, look how quick that was. And it takes a long time. There's a chance that you might crack the yolk into it. And also, I feel like a terrible person just throwing 11 yolks down the sink, and I don't use them. Gotta put those back in the fridge. So it's using about 11 egg whites, or 1.5 cups of egg whites. So there's that. Liquid egg whites are a little more liquidy, as it says. They're a little more liquidy than regular egg whites. Regular egg whites tend to be thicker, you know? Yeah, it might be a little bit different coming out than if you use regular egg whites. But I'm gonna try using liquid egg whites just because it's so convenient. So I'm using 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm also using 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar, and I especially want to use cream of tartar because these egg whites are so liquidy. Cream of tartar helps things get more fluffy. By things, I mean egg whites. So I have the salt, I have the cream of tartar, and now I just need some vanilla. I'm using 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and the vanilla is just, it helps every baked good just taste better. You can use vanilla extract for really anything. And I've also heard that if you're making something that's like yellow cake, you can use almond extract as well if you're into that. So that was 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And now we're just gonna whip that up until it's at soft peaks. Soft peaks is when it's still kind of foamy, but it does hold a little lump when you lift up the beater. So in the meantime, I'm going to get 1 cup of flour, which I'm going to put in a different bowl that I don't have right now. So in this bowl, I'm going to put 1 cup of flour and 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. And I'm going to make sure to sift it because this is a very light cake. You do not want any lumps in here or it's gonna be really hard to mix it without over mixing it. And if you over mix it, you beat all of the air out of it, which makes it not rise. And we want it to rise or else it's gonna be gross. So this is my gluten-free flour. I use a blend. As you can see, they're different brands, but as long as it has xanthan gum, that's what I use. I just look on the back of the package, and if it says it has xanthan gum, then I buy it. So we're gonna sift it in here. Like I said, sifting is very important for an angel food cake. In fact, sometimes they tell you to just sift it as many times as you can stand. I believe this recipe tells me to sift it twice, but it gets kind of messy if I use 2 bowls to sift it. It's a little harder to sift gluten-free flour just because it doesn't like being sifted. It's a little thicker than regular flour. Regular flour is really fine. I'm just gonna scoop it in here and sift it a little bit more just because I know that sifting is important in this cake. You don't want any lumps. It's gonna be murder to mix. So I need 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. I'm done with my flour, so I'm going to put it away. That's not powdered sugar, that's regular sugar. This is the powdered sugar. All right, powdered sugar. Oh, there's already 1/2 cup in here. Should I use this? I'll just wash it. Felt weird using it since it's been in there for a while, but I guess it would do me no harm. I always put a little bit of extra powdered sugar in here, to be honest, because I like my angel food cakes really sweet, and I think it makes it better. I also put a little bit of extra sugar in there as well. A little bit of extra sugar all around. Lucky for me, I have an open bag of powdered sugar over here. And that'll be much easier to measure with. I'm just gonna sift it the aggressive way by pushing it through. What's this thing called? The sifter. I don't know. I use it mostly for pasta. Strainer, that's what it's called. Is it? I don't know. I have gotten one of those things from the store where you go like this and it sifts stuff, but it takes forever. Also, it sucked and it hurt my hand, so I didn't like it. All right, in the meantime, I'm just gonna keep scooping it up and sifting it while this turns on. Let's see if it's at soft peaks. Yeah, it is. Let me try and show. Ooh, it's kind of liquidy. The camera, see that little, yeah, see that little peak? So it's still quite foamy, but it does hold its shape. So that is when it is time to add the granulated sugar. Make sure that's nice and foamy. Yes. So now it is time to add 1 cup and a little bit extra for sweetness of granulated sugar. Here we go. I need to go get a cup. Okay. Get a cup and a little bit extra. So you're gonna wanna pour it in slowly, because that's how making a meringue works. We are actually making a French meringue. So, if you do this successfully, you have successfully made a meringue. So if you make this, you can cook it in the oven, and you'll actually have little bits of meringue to eat. I've never tried cooking it in the oven, because I don't care, but I know some people do like meringue. Nice and slowly turn it up a little, and a little more sugar. All right, that should be fine, but I am gonna scrape down the sides so that all the sugar gets incorporated. Let's make sure that all the sugar gets put into there. You want it to be mixed. Now we'll wait until it stiffens up into a proper meringue. Where people are. Just got some sugar in my mouth. Is it stiff peaks? I don't know. It's pretty stiff. The trick people say is if you can like tip it upside down and it doesn't fall out. Didn't, but I'm not convinced it's as stiff as I would like it to be, so I am still going to let it, let's see, yeah, there's its little peak. Right where the thing came out. You can see it's really stiff onto the, on the beater. It's really stiff. I'm gonna let it whip up a little longer, seeing as these were liquid egg whites, and I just wanna make sure that it's all nice and whipped. All right, I think it's, yeah, it looks nice and shiny and mixed. So I'm just going to, you can just, it won't come out. On the Great British Baking Show, sometimes they put it over their heads and I'm like, that's too dangerous, that's too much. So the goal when you're mixing this with the dry ingredients is that you want to mix it as little as possible. You want to get it so that the dry ingredients are in there, but you have not mixed it a lot. So you want to mix it the least amount of times you can. So I'm going to put about 1/3 of this in here, and then I'm gonna sift it. I'm gonna sift it again. After I sift it, I'm going to stir it in just until it looks like it's about all mixed in, and then I'm gonna do it again with another 1/3 and then the last 1/3. So it looks very snowy. All right, so we're gonna try and mix this as little as possible. I like to get it. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go around and cut and around and cut, but I just kind of do my own thing. Lots of times this is how I like to do it, by like scraping it underneath, because you're kind of mixing it, but also you're not like cutting into it, you know? Yeah, the less you stir it, the less you knock the air out of it. And the air is the only thing that is going to be making it rise. So if you knock all the air out of it, it will not rise, and you won't have that nice, fluffy angel texture. I think that's why it's called angel. There's a lot of sugar going into the air. I think that's why it's called angel food cake, because it's light and fluffy like angels. That's what they said on the Great British Baking Show anyway. This is a careful operation. You want to be careful, but you want to get it mixed. It's mixed enough, and I have to still mix the rest of it in. So even if it's not fully mixed, I still got to do the last bit. It's got some brown specks from the gluten-free flour, but it just kind of makes it look like vanilla beans. So yeah, all right, I think it's all mixed. I'm gonna get my angel food cake pan. I gotta clean it. Okay, so I cleaned it. The reason I needed to clean it is because I recently went gluten-free. I'm gonna give it one last look around. So this is a special angel food cake pan. I mean, it's not special for an angel food cake pan. It's just particularly an angel food cake pan. Anyway, so this is an angel food cake pan. It's got these little spigots here, and that's because normally when you cool an angel food cake, you're actually going to put it in here, you're going to bake it this way like a bundt cake, but then you're going to flip it when you cool it. That way the angel food cake doesn't shrink by cooling it this way. By cooling it this way. Yeah, so that's normally how you do this. And also, you're not gonna spray this at all with anything. That way, it'll just slip down and it'll sink. And you don't want it to do that. People did that on the Great British Baking Show, and it was the wrong move. Not that I would have ever thought to do that, because I don't like to spray my pans. Not because I don't like it. I mean, I don't like Pam, but not because I have some beef with it. It's because I don't ever remember to, and it never occurs to me. So I'm always trying to get my cakes and my brownies out of their pans, and they won't come out because I didn't grease it up before. I always like to do this with a big spoon. I don't like to try and get it in with the spatula. I guess you could try and get it in with the spatula, but I always put a little piece and turn, and then I put another little piece and turn it. That way it turns out kind of even. It's still, it flattens out in the oven. Right now it looks kind of lumpy because of the way that it is, but it will flatten out once it gets into the oven. And you can spread it out a little so that it doesn't look quite so lumpy, but spreading it out means that you're touching it, and I don't like to touch it, or else it will get mad at me and sink to the bottom. All right, get the little last bit in here, put it on, let's say this side. Try and get every last bit in here. It smells kind of nice. It smells like sugar, I guess. So I'm going to put this in the oven, which I preheated, which is kind of a rare occurrence. I always forget until I need to put it in the oven, but it's at 350. I might turn it down though, because my oven runs so hot, and you're supposed to cook it for about 40 minutes, but the last time it only cooked for like 35. So I'll either have to turn down the baking time, or I'll have to turn down the temperature. Also, with the way this cake is, it's kind of tall, so it's kind of close to the top, so I might just turn down the temperature. I'd turn it down by about 25 degrees, and I have to clean up. Hooray. Right, so I think the right amount of time has passed. I've checked in there, and it looks pretty done on the top. So I'm going to take it out. Luckily, I didn't leave it in there too much longer. Here is what it looks like, and I'm gonna flip it immediately so it can cool upside down, and it will not sink. I will take this out once it cools down till I can touch it. I can't really touch it right now. Then I kind of scrape around the outside so that I can get the middle part out, and I scrape the rest of it out so that I can pop it right out. It has cooled down enough. Actually, I think I can just kind of get this out. Ooh! It came out all by itself. I didn't even need to scrape it down. But I think it's going to need my help to get, oh, never mind. It's not going to need my help to get off. Normally I would run my knife along here, but it doesn't seem to need it. Oh, no, it needs it. Oh gosh. Yeah, if I try and do it without doing that, then some of it comes off. That's fine, it just means I get to eat some, I guess. But look at that. Oh, it's really good. You can't even tell it's gluten-free. It's light and airy and sweet, and also I am hungry. Yeah, normally it doesn't have this dip here, which I'm just gonna chalk up to using egg whites, or I'm gonna chalk it up to the gluten-free thing. But I'm gonna cut off a slice, see if we can get a nice look at the inside. I cut on the side where it got murdered. Kind of hard to cut it into it, because when you cut into it, sometimes it just wants to go down, and so you kind of end up smashing it. Ooh, look at that. It's kind of warm, but it's very marshmallowy. It is a little more grainy, I think, with the gluten-free flour. This outside bit gets kind of toasted, and it's really good. It has a very toasted marshmallow taste. Success, and it turns out much more normal if you use real eggs and if you don't use gluten-free flour. I gotta stop eating it.